Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the stream. When I drop my kid off, he's 5 years old, to school every day, I have this little mantra that I tell him. I say, it's a brand new day. Anything is possible. And he's a child. He's a dreamer. He has more creativity than all of us combined, of course. So he doesn't need that advice. But it's something meaningful to me. It helps me think that way, and I'm hoping that 60 years from now, when I'm long gone, he's still saying that to himself. In any event, for us here, it is a new week, and anything is possible. I'm hoping everything's going good with the stream. If someone is in the stream, if you can let me know, that would be great. That you can hear me okay, that you can see me okay. I never know about these things. Hi, Sarah. Ooh, we got all kinds of emojis in the mix today. One thing I said here in the comments is, if you're here, drop in an emoji of how you're feeling about the week ahead. I'm feeling a locomotive. That's the train. That's the emoji that I put in this week. So I'm going to talk about that. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week. So just some housekeeping, some schedule stuff on the channel this week. Right now, we're going to set intentions for the week. We're going to set goals for the week. We're going to say them out loud. We're going to say them with each other so that they have a better chance of coming to pass. We're going to direct our will. On Tuesday, I'm going to read another story aloud. I don't know which one yet, but I've really been enjoying that. On Wednesday, my friend and colleague, Sarah Ray Werner, she is also here on YouTube. Sarah, I think you're here. Hi, good morning. Good morning, Laura Mateo. Welcome, buenos dias. KJM, welcome, hi. Wednesday and Thursday, Sarah Ray Werner and I have a story club. We are working our way through two classic, iconic anthologies of short stories. The first, on Wednesdays, 4 EST, save the date. We are working our way through the big book of science fiction. I will let you know the story there. And that was Wednesday. On Thursday, same time, 4 p.m. EST, we're reading and discussing a story from this anthology. We're doing this every week. It's a story club that happens on Sarah and my channel. This week, we are reading the classic Young Goodman Brown. Maybe you read it in high school. Maybe you've never read it. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. On Friday, we'll do some more live writing. Last week, we did a Halloween origin story contest. We all wrote for that. That was so fun. So my goal, I think, and Sarah and I need to talk about this, but one thing I think was really cool was it was nice and short, and so it took the pressure off. So I'd be keen to do that again. The big idea. So I'm really committed to becoming a writer, and what I find is that so much that determines how much I write, how well I write, is stuff outside of writing. And I want to talk briefly about self-care. That's my big idea for the week. I was reluctant to talk about self-care. There's an entire industry that has emerged around this phenomenon. I'm a workaholic. I'm a millennial, a product of the meritocracy. Self-care is for the birds, has been my ingrained mentality. But as I get older and identify my needs and get more precise about the life I'm living, I have figured out that this idea is for me too. In any event, that is the big idea this week, is self-care. Specifically, I want to put some energy into some friendships. I want to be around people. I've been a bit isolated. Dipping briefly into my personal life. I'm deaf in one ear, which is a really isolating experience. My friendships are limited, and if I don't go the extra mile to create space and time, those core emotional needs aren't met, and there are sacrifices, obviously, in all parts of life, but I would include the writing because, unless there's the suffering artist, the pained isolation, and maybe that makes it into the work, but I can get that into the work without feeling that all the time. So that's the big idea of the week: self-care, friendships, see people I haven't seen in a while. Thank you so much for being in the comments, everyone, and sharing. I'm so glad to see this participation. Sarah Ray Werner says, I always hear self-care isn't selfish, but it's so hard to internalize. I agree. All right, let's get to the task at hand, the writing. So I have come up with a rough plan, which of course could change, for my overall writing goals for the rest of the year. It is the end of September. We're entering autumn. We are entering spooky season, and I have several stories in front of me. So I think I have enough to last me for the rest of the year. I think that at least 2 of these stories are full-length short stories, which is to say 4,000 to 6,000 words. And they're in various forms of completion. I have all these other little guys in the mix. And so I just kind of want to say, okay, hey, this is what I'm going to finish. I've got these handful of stories, and I've got, 3-4 months left. This is definitely manageable, trying to set manageable, realistic goals, ones I can keep. And hey, if I get farther, then I get farther. And that's great. The stories in question. I really got to finish the Halloween origin story. As I said, we did that on the live stream on Friday. It was so much fun. I revisited over the weekend what I wrote, and I don't love it. And I am so touched that so many people on the stream shared their work in the Discord. There's a Discord on this channel, in this community. Details in the comments of this, or the description of this video rather. Folks shared their stories, 250-word Halloween origin stories, and so I really want to deliver on that. The deadline is the 30th, which I want to say is tomorrow. Oh God, yes, tomorrow, but it's only 250 words. So I'm putting my mettle to the test. I am going to write that story. I will share it in the Discord. And if you are new to the stream and like to write short fiction, or have a hankering to articulate a little horror nugget of fiction, this is a contest, and you can find it on the channel or in the Discord. So that's a goal. Under the Pear Tree is a new story I'm super stoked on. It's like meaty, it's rural. A part of my childhood was on a ranch, and like tapping into kind of like the isolation and darkness that I experienced there. I'm hype on this story, and it flowed. I'm almost done with the first draft. I dropped a new writing vlog this morning. Check that out, where I talk in more depth about that story. I want to work on that this week, and I want to get back to Santa Has No Secrets, or Santa Story. That's in a revision place. Not everyone is cut out for the Snake Show. I am also really excited about this story. This is a Weird Wild West piece. It is a monologue, kind of speaks to my theater roots. This could be a one-person play. This could be a great audio story, of which there are many opportunities to publish audio fiction, including at pro market rates, mind you. Pseudopod, for example, pays 8 cents a word. On this channel, on this career, on this everything, I'm trying to make it, as it were, as a short story writer. This is a cool book, the business, the profession of it all. And anyway, this monologue, I'm already thinking ahead. That's a place I can submit this to. It's very cool. It involves a snake show, which is ultimately a con. Imagine a traveling circus, late 1800s. You've got snakes, you've got dust, you've got children getting bit. It's good. I just got to finish it. And thematically, it has a lot to do with mortality. I was talking to Laura Huntress, a great writer here on the channel who hangs out with us sometimes. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here, by the way, Laura. We were talking about this on the Discord, and it's like, it kind of got heavy for me, this story, between losing my hearing in the last few years and several other random health stuffs. I've been like having this kind of like, oh, wow, it could end. And this story found itself to be about mortality, and I had to kind of take a break from it. I want to get back to that this week. Other stories in the mix: Sam, The Visit. These are pieces of flash fiction currently out in submission. We'll see how those come back. Next, craft. Let's talk briefly about endings. On these weekly videos, I also kind of tried to pinpoint a specific craft idea or writing idea that I want to give my attention to this week. There's obviously a zillion ways we can revise, make our characters stronger, make our sentences stronger. Is the structure tight, dramatic, fulfilling, propulsive? One other place that we, of course, can focus our sort of attention as we improve our work is endings. And short story endings, which is what I'm writing right now, are kind of a specific breed. They're their own thing. And I did hear this cool definition of a short story ending, a type of short story ending at least. I can't remember where I picked this up. Might have been George Saunders, might have been Samantha Schweblin, but the idea is that you get to the end of the story and there's a sense that the story is going to keep going, that there is a continuation, that what you just read, while arriving at a critical final place, delivering a certain experience, satisfying a narrative arc at some level, there's a sense that these characters, this environment, this event will continue, and it sort of affords or provides rather the reader an additional kind of experience where there's like an echo or a coda. So I think the perfect platonic short story perhaps lands, satisfies, but then has this like little opening, this little push, this little expansiveness at the end. This is just an idea. I'm figuring out this, I'm learning about this from others, figuring out what it means for myself, but I kind of want to interrogate the endings I have of those stories I just talked about to see if there's a way that I can sort of inject that or just experiment with what that kind of ending would look like for those stories. On the reading front, more of the same. I'm adding Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, which I'll talk about briefly. But, I'm kind of becoming okay with close reading, digging deep reading, burrowing into one's author's aesthetic and consciousness and style. And so I'm going to continue reading these short story writers that are so inspiring me. Flannery O'Connor, who I've loved since long ago. Samantha Schweblin, not on there, is Shirley Jackson, also in the mix, a regular source of inspiration for me. The Poppy War. So I was recommended Babel by R.F. Kuang and really love that book. I love sort of the orientation. It's so refreshing to read a writer who's engaging with political themes in exciting ways. That book is like about colonialism and all this and that. And R.F. Kuang, she's taken heat for, especially on YouTube for various things, but I think she's a good writer for sure. And I put in the Poppy War here because I'm realizing that I need to vary my reading diet to give myself a little bit of a break from these highly literary short stories, allow myself the experience of story, kind of quote unquote pure storytelling, read to your, I just bought this like pack of adventure books to read to my kid. We just started Treasure Island over breakfast this morning. Stories. And so I want to give myself permission to let my reading life live in different places, not always be so demanding. I think it's a form of rest, which kind of relates back to that earlier idea of self-care. So adding Poppy War to the mix, more trash, says Sarah Ray Warner. I love that. Gosh, I like the Snake Show one as well. Yes, it's a power title. I wish I knew how to title my projects better. That is an art. Indeed. Speaking of that, Mateo Leon Rodriguez is a writer. Both Sarah and Mateo, by the way, have YouTube channels, so you should check them out if you want to explore other exciting writers' work on YouTube. In any event, Mateo, I feel you on this. Mateo in the comments says, I wish I knew how to title my projects better. I got this tip retitling short stories. I took a sort of webinar from a Weird Wild West writer, Casey Griffin is her name, and she is successful, sells a lot of stories. And the name of the webinar was like Weird Wild West stories that sizzle and sell. And one thing she brought up, which, it's cool to sell stories, but I think from a kind of narrative point of view this is useful also, particularly for a certain kind of story, is that you can use the title as a way to start the story. You know, for example, right now, my Christmas horror story is just called Santa's Story. I don't really know what it wants to be titled. It's kind of meta, so I think that's kind of okay, but it really doesn't propel us into the story in the same way that not everyone is cut out for the snake show. You know, that really engenders a lot of exciting questions. What is the snake show, and what does it take to be cut out for it? So anyway, that's a quick little thought on titles. Last but not least, community. That's y'all. Hey, good morning. What's up? Grateful for you and grateful to be spending time with you, growing as writers. This thumbnail here, again, is from last Friday. We had so much fun working on a Halloween origin story together, going to try to pursue some more live writing. On Friday, as I said, there's a Discord, and people are jamming over there, sharing their work, sharing the way they think about their stories. And Takashi, I know you're working really hard. I don't know if you're here on the stream, but if you've come back to the stream, I know you're working hard as well. Takashi's another member of this community who always shares, and that is very cool. In any event, y'all, let's do this. Put in that emoji about your week. I just want to see some of these emojis, by the way. All right. Sarah has a dancer, flamenco. KLM Writes has a castle. KLM Writes, I'm so curious about what that castle means for you. All right. We'll leave it there. Stay tuned. There's lots going on the channel, and I did release a vlog this morning. If you didn't see that, that is cool. It's a good one. I go in deep, and I'm just like, all right, folks, man, let's see if everyone can hang on this vlog, because I'm just going to kind of dig into my brain a little bit and talk. So, all right. Yeah, take care, everybody.